What's brewing? A new wave of capital is flowing into tech-driven interiors. Mumbai-based Flipspaces has secured $50 million in an expanded Series C round, backed by investors from the UAE, Singapore, and Japan. The company is blending AI and VR to disrupt the design and build industry, bringing speed, efficiency, and transparency to a sector long plagued by delays and fragmentation. With the fresh funding, Flipspaces plans to scale operations across India, the US, and the UAE, strengthen its supply chain, and pursue strategic acquisitions as it eyes global leadership in the space. Joining me now to discuss this further is Kunal Sharma, the founder and CEO of Flipspaces. Kunal, thank you so much for taking time out and being here with us on Startup Street. Let's begin by talking about how this $50 million Series C funding will be deployed across India, US, and UAE, and which market do you see driving the fastest growth?
First and foremost, thank you so much for having me on the show, Arundathi. It's always a pleasure and privilege. There are three primary areas of deployment of the capital that we've raised right now. One is to power growth by unlocking more number of geographies across India and US. Currently, we've been present in just 3 geographies across India and the US. Obviously, we want to unlock more number of states and cities. Each one of them will be unlocking a new revenue. Additional to that, we've also recently expanded our footprint into the UAE market. So obviously, that's another geography to unlock. So that's the first deployment of capital. The second one, as you articulated right or just before, I think the last 1.5, 2 years has seen an advent and a wave of AI and large language model-based products, which are challenging the incumbent workflows in every domain of business, right? And interior design is no different. I think we are working on certain very exciting AI blended tech-led products, both on the project management workflow side of interior design and on what can truly revolutionize interior design itself, the space of design itself, right? So tech is the second area of deployment. And 3, we are in the process of looking out at very high quality revenue assets or revenue companies with which we can create a win-win synergy as we take our steps towards public market listing in the next couple of years. So inorganic acquisitions, again, across US, India, and UAE would be the third area of deployment of this capital. So I think that's the 3-pronged strategy as it stands right now.
So you neatly pointed out to us how these funds are going to be allocated, but let's delve deeper into those, right? Like you pointed out, Flipspace has built its brand around technology-led interiors. So how exactly are AI and VR transforming the customer experience as well as the execution process?
Sure. Let me start with how we think design can be revolutionized in the future, right? So obviously, design has been a domain which in some sense, the legacy tools and the legacy softwares that exist for design are way too slow to democratize the process of design, right? The world that we envisage as it stands right now is a world in which probably with text prompts or probably with just voice prompts, you would have a 3D visualization of a space spring up, right? And more importantly, the 3D visualization of a space that would spring up maybe of a boardroom or maybe a reception area for an office or a cafeteria just by text prompts, right? And more importantly, what would spring up from these text prompts would probably be supply chain integrated with supply chain that's backing the fulfillment promise. So that's what we're trying to do on the design side, or that's the world that we envisage on the design side. On the project management side, I believe, with agentic AI coming in, there are a whole lot of interventions that can make the job of project management far more cost efficient and time efficient, with AI-based agents, making sure that there are no slippages in terms of the workflow getting missed out or timelines getting missed out or quality parameters being missed out. So, it's the agentic side of AI that we are exploring on the project management side. So that's broadly the 2 themes that we're working on. Of course, there are very many other areas of dev also that we're looking at right now.
Sure. And you also pointed out that strategic acquisitions are on your roadmap, right? If you could sort of give us a sense of which adjacent categories you're most interested in, and are you in talks with any companies at the moment? Like, what's the timeline looking like?
So we would divide our acquisition approach probably into 2 buckets, right? One would be to continue looking at high quality revenue companies, like I said, in the 3 geographies where we're operating, within the same categories that we're operating in. So, there would be no adjacency in terms of category, right? But probably these companies would be operating in geographies where we currently don't have any presence in, right? So they would bring with them the legacy, the body of work, which sometimes you can't just throw money and bodies at that problem to solve it. So, probably working together with a legacy company in a different geography where we want to, kickstart our revenue would be, the first area of deployment of funds. And second, as you correctly pointed out, currently our strong suite has been in the workspace, in the restaurants and the Horeca category. But there are multiple other categories of commercial interior design, for instance, healthcare, educational institutions. So again, if there are companies which have created a legacy and are doing great work in those adjacent categories, we would want to take a buy versus build, approach in some of these areas. So
Sure.
I think it's going to be a mix of both.
All right, so a mix of both. If you could then take us through the kind of revenues you're making and also from a profitability standpoint, right? How do you ensure that this rapid expansion that you are eyeing, plus, your inorganic growth plan doesn't come at the cost of financial discipline? And where do you sort of hope to end this year?
Look, while numbers are still being audited, last year and for the last 4 years, we've been growing broadly at about 60 to 65% CAGR, which is the highest, as per my knowledge, in this particular category coming out of the pandemic, right? The FY27 goal that we have, which I can outline right now for you, is to actually become a 1,000 crore revenue company. And the more important part of this goal is that we want to do this while maintaining EBITDA and PBT level profitability, right? So I think from where we are to 1.5 years down the line, the idea is to go past the 1,000 crore number in terms of the overall revenue of the company.
Sure. So FY27, 1,000 crore rupee company is what you're aiming to be. You've also sort of spoken about deepening the supply chain integration, right? What sort of challenges do you face in this area, and how will, the new capital sort of help in this space?
Sure. Look, I think one of the incumbent problems in this category is when designers show you a certain design, they are still not sure where they're going to procure those products from, because there's no one-stop platform, especially in the commercial interiors domain, right? So the question is there that one web-based portal where you can find a reception desk, a cafeteria chair, a workstation desk, a boardroom table, etc., right? So what Flipspaces is trying to do in its own silent way, we've created the largest global repository of commercial-focused interior design products. And these products in the back end are mapped with suppliers across India, Vietnam, more recently Malaysia. Now we're also looking at Egypt as being supply chain centers. So there are about 200,000 odd products which come from different suppliers across the 2 or 3 continents. And they are the ones which are making sure that the delivery promise stands for Flipspaces, right? So our idea would be to continue deepening our relationship with these vendors, to explore new geographies. Currently, we've been present in India and Vietnam. Like I said, we want to expand our supply chain base probably to China, to Malaysia, and to Egypt. These are the 3 new geographies where we would want to explore supply chain synergies.
Sure. And you've got this 1,000 crore rupee target by FY27. Where do you sort of see most of the growth coming from? Which geographies are on top of the radar? And where else are you looking to sort of grow into?
Sure. Look, so India and US has been a market for us that we've been laying impetus on for the last couple of years. And I think between these 2 markets, we should have our hands full, because ultimately we're talking about a market which is more than $200 billion in size across these 2 countries for commercial design and build. That being said, with the new set of investors and the kind of strategic leverage that they bring, UAE has also become a hotbed of commercial design and build for us. So I think for the next couple of years, India, US, and UAE, these are going to be the 3 markets where Flipspaces will focus on its expansion.
So India, US, and UAE on top of your radar. All right, Kunal, thank you so much for taking time out and being here with us on Startup Street. And we wish you all the best on your journey going forward.
Thank you so much, Arundathi.